My name is Davide Gorini. I work for KPMG. I just started 10 days ago in KPMG, so if you hear the word Atos, it's because my subconscious is still convinced that I work for Atos, but forgive me, I'm in KPMG as a senior manager for Cloud Transformation Advisory team. Previously, I've been working at Atos in the Cloud Transformation and Advisory team. I have 25 years of working experience in IT as system integrator and with different hats, working with different technologies, open source technologies. And today we are gonna see one question of the cloud migration. There was Accenture this morning that was making a good, interesting speech about cloud migration and giving certain technical view of the cloud migration. What I'm going to do is I would like to do is give another view of the cloud migration problems and issues you can find in approaching this type of project. Very important for IT right now. I would say one of the most important, even the most important project right now where companies are engaging. Just a quick question for you. Who has been involved in any project of cloud migration recently to AWS, Azure, or any cloud providers? Yes, a lot? Yes, I would say most of them. Not all of them, most. The agenda for today is I will start with the golden circle, the why, the how, the what is a little different from my title, but I wanted to change. It's a very interesting talk that Sinak adds about some inspiration for company and leaders. Then we will go in details about some cloud migration challenges. What is the purpose of a cloud migration? What is the business case? How we can create a business case and the value realization from the cloud migration. Starting with the golden circle, I think it's one of the most followed speech in TED is from Simon Sinek. He also wrote this book, Start with Why. And what he was saying is a lot of company and leaders who inspire followers, employees, clients, they know what they do, they know how they do it, but rarely they know why they do it, and they don't communicate. The leaders, very good leaders, he makes the example of Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, or for company Apple. They are very able to communicate the why. And the why is one of the key aspects because being working in cloud migration project, I've been working with a lot of company and they have more or less idea what they want to migrate. They were talking about how they want to migrate, multi-hybrid cloud environment and this type of vision of the cloud. But when we were coming to the why, there was a lot of confusion. I remember working with government organizations, we have cloud first strategy. And I say cloud first is not a strategy, is a sort of recommendation from the government, but it's not a cloud strategy. Other companies say, we want to migrate to the cloud because our data center is old. We don't want to renovate and renew the data center, so we want to move to the cloud. Again, this is an emergency. It's not a cloud strategy. And if you don't approach the cloud strategy in the right way, and the cloud migration, how you define it in the why, the what, and the how, you will be disappointed. And I've seen a lot of clients with a lot of expectation that were finally not really happy about the results aligned with the business expectations. The cloud is here to stay. We know company are moving to the cloud. I don't want to lose time on put it together. I did for the presentation, but we know cloud migration is currently one of the most important topics in company, but moving to the cloud, it poses a lot of different challenges. Being an architect, as my background, I love this picture. The first one is the data flow. When you start analyzing how data is flowing inside the company, where the data silos, you find a total lack of governance, a lot of lack of data quality, and this is a big challenge when you have to migrate your data in the cloud. If you don't know where they are, what are the source of data, this is a big challenge. Another is legacy systems. Example, banking, they have core banking systems that are there since the beginning of the bank, and they have 20, 30, 40 years of stratifications of software on top of that. How can you migrate a software like that to the cloud? And the third one is this one that I really love, the integration conundrum. And you see, I'm Italian, I call it the spaghetti architecture. And you see how the applications are connected together, and it's a mess. It's really a point-to-point sort of conundrum, of nightmare. And when you have to migrate this type of architecture in the cloud, where do you start from? And this is a big challenge. And one of my first clients, and they had this ambition, we will migrate 80% of our application to the cloud, 20% will stay in the data center. At the end of the project, it was exactly the opposite. They migrate 20% in the cloud, 80% will stay in the data center, because it was not possible. They had so many dependency, legacy, lack of integration, and this type of issues and problems, that it was absolutely so difficult that they decided to have a different approach. If we see the top challenges, and I like this this survey made by the colleagues from Accenture. He was explaining before the problem about data and security and compliance risks. So the top challenges from these surveys, they all more or less pose the same, unlike the same problem. So security and compliance risks, we have complexity of business organizational change, legacy infrastructure and applications prone, the picture you've seen before, and then lack of cloud skill with organization. Most of them are not technical, are, you say, compliance risks, organizational challenges. That is basically one of the big aspect of the cloud migration. But again, this type of challenges, and like the importance of having a cloud migration strategy. If we see, I found this from Forrester, that is very interesting. Yet 70% of decision maker who organization use hybrid cloud reported lacking a comprehensive cloud strategy. Their number one cloud challenge overall. Without a cohesive strategy, organization will be limited in their ability to succeed. So this is very strong point. I mean, if you don't have a cloud strategy, the risk of failing the cloud migration is very high. If we see the quote from Unisys and say the results illustrate the cloud transformation is not just an IT issue, it's a business issue. A lot of clients, they say, oh, we're going to move to the cloud, it's an infrastructure project. We will do lift and shift, no impact for the business. It's a big surprise how impacting cloud migration is for the business. And we see Gartner saying, if you don't, organizations that do not have a high-level cloud strategy driven by their business strategy will be significantly increase the risk of failure and wasted investment. So a cohesive, important, solid cloud strategy is absolutely essential. If we know the benefit of moving to the cloud, we know the cloud provides rapidity, easy to start and stop services with a snap of your fingers, flexibility, scalability, vertically and horizontal scalability, efficiency. innovative solution. Every month there is a new service in the cloud. Security compliance. Oh, the cloud is per se secure. The quantity of money this company, the cloud provider, invest in security is not comparable to any other investment made by bank, public organization, corporates, or whatever organization you want. The idea of the financial, so moving from the capex to opex model that give you the flexibility of financial services, and all these different advantages, benefit, move you to the most important one, that is to have business agility. Business agility means for the business to be able to launch new and quicker new services and product in the cloud, to test it, to improve the customer experience, the customer retention, to innovate quicker, and to use the amazing innovation solution in the cloud, to respond to market challenges from competitors. So these are the key aspect for our cloud migration. If we see this, if you've done AWS training, this comes from AWS material. If we see the cost in time, it gives you a payback period about 3.5 years. So when a company starts saying, oh, we want to migrate to the cloud because we want to have cost saving, be aware that if everything goes right, if there is no complex situation or obstacle of everything is perfect, it's never perfect, unfortunately, your payback period is around 3.5 years, 18 months of cloud migration, and then you start recovering your cost, and then the payback period. But what is important is what is written on the right, the other graph. If people consider the cloud migration like a lift and shift, and this is in the graph, the project, the foundation, the migration is a lift and shift. What is the value provided lift and shift? There is no value. If you move your application from the data center to the cloud, yeah, you have some IT savings. You will have all the advantages I showed before about flexibility, resiliency, disaster recovery, security. But the business doesn't really feel this difference if we don't start retiring the technical debt and use a cloud-native solution. This is where the big value is. It's the transformative approach. Is using DevOps, Terraform, that it was just before me, infrastructure as code solutions, Kubernetes, cloud-native solutions, and platform like ECS, EKS, or OpenShift and Tanzu. So this deployed in the cloud. This is the important part of the value provided by the cloud. If we see the cloud strategy, it is defined like a living document designed to bridge between the high-level corporate strategy and the cloud implementation, adoption, and migration plan. So, defined by Gartner, it means it's a document that needs to be updated. It needs to change because the business strategies could change in time. Your architecture and your services could change, and you could also find surprises when you assess your IT estate. I remember a company, they said, oh, we want to migrate our application to the cloud, and then we start to do the assessment. They had something like a very heavy Oracle footprint in their estate. It said, if you have this Oracle footprint and your ambition is to migrate to AWS or Azure, it will be killing your costs. You could use Oracle Cloud if you want to migrate but this need to change your cloud strategy, because Oracle Cloud was not in their cloud strategy. Their ambition was to migrate to Azure and to AWS, and say, so you need to redefine your strategy, your migrations, and to align what is the current architecture. If we go in more details about how to build the business case and the cloud strategy that need to contains the why, the what, and the how, we start with the first phase of this migration journey is to understand what are the business IT driver, what you want to achieve from the cloud. Do you want to have business agility to be able to be quick, faster, to, as I said before, to innovate faster and to test new market solution faster? Do you want to have the benefit of IT that I said, resilience, security? Once I had a discussion with the client and they had a lot of security issue. And they said, if we move to the investment we have to do in security to update our data center are so huge that if we move to the cloud, it will be easier for us in terms of security to have achieved these results instead of investing in a data center that is to be retired, that is old and need to be refurbished. So the first is understanding what are the business IT driver, what is the current architecture, understanding what are the pain points, and trying to have a vision of the business IT architecture. Business architecture, IT architecture, your application, your data, your infrastructure, have a vision and understanding of that. Because if you have, as I made an example before, Oracle Blueprint, and it's difficult to migrate to the cloud for costing reasons. So you need to review your strategy. The second part is to start in designing a high-level architecture. So determine, and you start, okay, we will go for SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. This is, our ambition is to go, if possible, more with SaaS, and then if not SaaS, use PaaS and IaaS solutions. You need to start designing the landing zone and the cloud environment with networking, storage, and how you will connect your hybrid cloud environment, because another challenge is you will add something in the cloud, something will stay on-prem. So how you will safely connect your data application in the cloud without having latency problems. So you start going in more details, and you see the last phase of a project is designing the low-level design of the landing zone, making an analysis about the cost, determine the migration grouping, wave group, move group, migration scheduling, the labor estimate, the effort you need, the organizations, and finally close with raw material cost. So you see, these are all components of the building case, of creating the business case, that give the opportunity to any company to understand what they want to achieve and monitor how they are moving to the cloud, aligning what is the current state, what is the target state, what are the steps that need to be done. So in this example, I made a quick example of a migration that was a program that has been done a few years ago. It's a typical migration step where you have 400 applications, 1,600 servers, a timelines of 15, 18 months, typical migration situation. There was some forecast and of cost saving for the next 5 years or 50 millions. We are now at around the 4th year of the migrations, and the cost saving is not reached the target, but very, very close to that. And if we see the different components of the cloud strategy and this cloud migration program, you have why cloud, what are the reasons and the drivers, when it will complete it, what is the value that will be provided by to the company, the solution that will be implemented, how much, this is obviously an executive summary, but the document that is detail all these different aspects, the requirement people. So you put together all these different informations, and you have a response to the three main questions: the why, the what, and the how. What happens if you are already in a certain cycle of your cloud journey? It happens that most of the time companies have already migrated into the cloud. They realize that business and IT are not aligned. The cloud migration has been, yes, successful, but as I say, the business doesn't realize the value in this. So what we have created is a sort of cloud value framework with different activities we can provide to help understanding how to close this map. So the first phase is doing an assessment between what cloud services are you using and how they match with the business requirements and business needs. And this is the assessment of the cloud value map. The cloud value lab is more practical example. So when we have realized that there is this gap, we try to intervene with execution of workshops and different workshops, try to see, okay, what type of prototype we can produce and deploy in production as quick as possible in order to unleash and to have this business value that is still not provided by our cloud infrastructure and our cloud services. And how can embed this in a way that is circular, and it's something that it's not just an event, it's part of the process. If we go to a different, sorry, so just conscious of time, I'm jumping the last, okay, this one is the right one. So if we start understanding, first is from operational point of view, the operational services, and we start investigating what is the maturity of DevOps best practices implementation in the company. We've seen previously with Terraform the use of infrastructure as code, and how you automate the creation of the infrastructure, how you can develop and deploy your services quicker in order to be faster in your development life cycle, how you can enable the infrastructure agility and start with what are the enabler services to start using more modern architecture like microservice architecture, PaaS solution. I mentioned before OpenShift, Tanzu. In the cloud, you have cloud native solution in AWS, ACS, AKS. You can use to orchestrate your containers. You can use serverless and fast solution for event-driven architecture. So how you are addressing and what type of solution are you using in the cloud that deliver these enabler services for the business. And if we go up in the pyramid and we go to the business services, are you usually leveraging your analytics with proper analytics tools? Are you using artificial intelligence tools and chatbots and solutions that help you in machine learning to have predictive analytics? How did the use of API gateway, API manager, API solutions have impact with your customer experience? Have you using IoT or blockchain integration? These are different services, business services that can be addressed using this type of technologies. In the next step, that is the most concrete and example of how we can start having an immersive experience with the business and IT. what we try to do is identifying what are the pain points and opportunity with cloud solution. We engage the IT business together because they are not two separate entities. They are both together engaged in this cloud migration journey, in the use of the cloud. Sometimes you have IT, shadow of IT, because the business is using IT independently from IT. So we need to work to see them together and and start analyzing what could be the opportunity to produce a rapid prototype that demonstrate to the business the value and put in production. And this has to be a cycle. This has to be something that the business and IT don't do once with the workshops or two workshops, but they keep on working in a sort of an embedding best practices approach, that is identifying the opportunities in the what are the quick win, the medium term and long terms initiative, what are the benefit for both business and IT, how we can commit it, engage it both in order that they are committed to the results, and how we can define roadmaps in order to align the expectation from the business and the delivery from IT in order to unleash the value of the cloud migration. So what I think this is a very important aspect, because if company doesn't approach with this the right tools, with the right mindset, with the right understanding, with the right expectations, there could be a lot of surprise. I remember the first client I was following with my previous employee, and the first client I start working with them. The first meeting to say, okay, this will be our infrastructure. It was a bank. We want to migrate our infrastructure to the cloud. We want to do just lift and shift, no transformation. We want to have cost saving because this is the target of the cloud migration. We will not engage with the business because we think this is IT project and the business doesn't have to be engaged. So at the first meeting, when I hear that, I say, I spoke with our sales team. I say, can we do something, because this will not turn well. And what happens, we started with a business with a budget of 3-4 million, and after 6-8 months, the budget was 12 million. And then it increased in time. And the client, at the end of the day, when we finish with the migration and the approach, the client didn't realize the value of the cloud migration. And honestly, it was a failure for us. It was a failure from a point of view of delivering the right expectation to the client. Sometimes it's difficult because you need to try to align the quickest possible, because when you have already started your journey to the cloud, and it's difficult to change the mindset in the company. It's difficult to change your attitude and address in the right way challenges. So I think I have, yeah, I'm finally to the questions. I don't know if there is any question, any challenges you have in your cloud migration project. I would be curious to know, for example, what was the challenge for you? Is there someone who say had already cloud migration? What was the challenge for the cloud migration? It was organization. It was the business was not aligned. Do we have any feedback from your side? Yeah.
No, the biggest issue we faced was getting logs when things went wrong. So when it was all local, obviously we could get all the files when we needed them, but going to the cloud, when things went wrong somewhere else, it was hard to know what was going on and where it happened.
I'm from O2. For our cloud migration, private cloud, the kind of biggest challenge was culture, was getting people on board with actually making it happen, and so the technology was easier, but the people were the key thing.
In fact, I seen the big issue. I seen Atos when I was in Atos. We did a sort of a survey, and the first challenge in the cloud migration, the first reason for failing the cloud migration, is organization change. It's not that technology is not say the design in the cloud, is the totally change of the organization. New skill, new organization, change from ITIL to DevOps, and a different approach in change management and all this type of stuff. So this is really the big challenge for moving to the cloud. Okay, I think we have the time is okay. Thank you for joining me, and enjoy the rest of the day and the other calls.